Hello everyone, Vickieverlie here, the Rock and Roll Prophetess. Today we're going to take a look at the chart for the full moon in Pisces. This is going to be a psychic or intuitive reading that is based in astrology, but I often get downloads and messages as we go through the reading. My name is Vickieverlie, and you can find me at vickieverlie.com, and you're watching the Rock and Roll Prophetess on YouTube. Do not be fooled by imposters. If you enjoy this content, I would love it if you would like and subscribe on YouTube, because that always is helpful to me and my channel. Alright, so we have this full moon in Pisces, and the biggest news about this full moon in Pisces is that it is conjunct with the sign of Saturn, okay? It's the planet of Saturn. So Saturn is always, I'm hearing brass tacks. Let's get down to brass tacks here. Let's get down to brass tacks. Saturn is very serious. Saturn wants to manifest things in the physical world, which can be lovely with the Pisces moon, because the Pisces moon is this intuitive thing. It's past lives, it's spirit guides, it's our dreams and our intuition. So it's very much like not tangible in the material world. And then the Saturn can bring things into reality. In the 12th house, it can be dealing, 12th house meaning the Piscean house, can be dealing with things from the past. And we do at this time, we can't ignore that we have so many planets in retrograde. We've got Pluto retrograde, Saturn itself is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Chiron, the nodes, Uranus is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, Mercury is still retrograde, and the node is retrograde. So we've got a lot of retrograde action going on. So this can absolutely be things coming up from the past. I really do feel like many people are going to be getting these major downloads, these major aha moments. And vindication is what I'm hearing. But what I'm getting is like something you kind of always thought, you kind of always thought that this thing was going on, this sort of secret thing, or even clandestine the guides are coming through with. There was always this thing going on. And you may find out that, yeah, you were right, that you get the actual evidence or the physical proof of it. It's in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces does rule over photography, film, and things like this. And you may see a picture. I'm getting that for somebody for sure. I'm feeling like somebody is going to see a picture of their ex with somebody that they always knew that there was attraction to. Because you do that. You always say, oh, I know you're attracted to that person. They're like, no, 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 no. And then that later you're not together anymore, and who they hook up with, they end up going with this person, and you kind of always knew it. I mean, that's not going to be for everybody, but there is this feeling of, it's something I always kind of had a feeling about, and what do you know, I knew I was right. So there is some kind of bittersweet vindication vibes around this for some people. It is making some aspects to the sign of Mars, the planet of Mars over here. Now Aries is the ruler of Mars. And it's in its opposite sign of Libra over here. So we've got it in its opposite sign. And Mars doesn't want to, doesn't like behaving, I guess you could say. Because in the sign of Libra, we're always going to be nice, and we want things balanced, and we're always going to try to be, make everything nice. And Mars is like, they're coming through with a bull in a china shop, So there could be some harsh things that upset the apple cart, that knock things out of balance a little bit. It could also tone down that Mars energy. With the Mercury retrograde too, you might want to think before you speak, because you could see something. And then again, with the Libra, going back to that relationship stuff, and we also have Venus retrograde too, so there's another reason why we might be dealing with exes, or people loves from the past here. Your first inclination could be to lash out, could be to lash out, and maybe that's not the best thing to do, because after all, anytime Saturn is involved, it's always going to be something that was meant to be. It's always going to be karmic. There's a lot of karmic energy surrounding any Saturn thing. So Saturn is foundation. So maybe this is just the thing you need to just get your fire under your butt and just start on this new leg of your journey. Some of you may be going over old projects, bringing out these old projects and working on them again. Something that you always kind of wanted to change or make different or improve upon. With all this retrograde energy, this would be a very good time to do so. Yeah, this is a rare thing where we have this blue moon as well. It's 2 full moons in 1 month. And I love that it's the Pisces is the blue moon, because you know, Pisces is the water energy and the blue. I think of Pisces as the blue, as the water energy, as the sea or the ocean, you know. And so it's the blue moon in Pisces that just makes perfect sense to me. You know, there's something synchronistic or magical about it. For some people, something that's always kind of been in the back burner, some idea, some creative venture, some kind of thing that you never really spoke of, because with the moon and the 12th house energy, which is the Piscean energy, sometimes these are things that we keep to ourselves. Sometimes these are things that, most of the time, it's things that are not manifest in the physical world. So Saturn coming along can really give a nice foundation, can really manifest things in the physical world, because that's what Saturn does best. And also it's retrograde too, so again, we're looking at possibly things from the past. By the way, this Venus, let's take a look at this for a second. This Venus over here is conjuncting Juno, which I think of as a very similar energy, because Juno was the most beautiful goddess, the queen of the goddesses, and Venus is all this beauty, love. They have a similar vibration, and in the sign of Leo too. So then you add in this, there's this queenly energy, I guess you could say, or there's this element of regalness. You know, there's this regal vibration that's surrounding it. So you may be looking back on things and saying, you know, well, I see that this thing happened in the past. I keep getting like looking at pictures. I feel like many people, because Neptune Pisces is the pictures, you know. So maybe you're on somebody's Instagram and you see this, oh gosh, you know, they're with this person now. Or even if it's not somebody you always suspected, it's just like, oh, they're with somebody new, you know, I see that now. But it's a call to action, if that's the case. It's a call to action no matter what. Because with the Venus and Juno and Leo, it's like commanding respect. It's like, I am, you know, it's loving yourself to the nth degree. It is this respect for yourself. It is this, I'll never, I keep getting like, I'll never go that low again, or I'll never bow down again, but that's only going to be for certain people. But there is this energy of, you know, or you may even be thinking to yourself, you know, if I had this all to do all over again, I would have done this or this differently. And again, it doesn't have to apply to your love life. It could apply to anything in your life. But there's a lot of energy of introspect, of reviewing the past, of going over past things, rethinking them, and then building a solid plan or solid foundation going forward that is going to put you in that place of, you know, that self-respect, that, you know, I'm worthy. There's this worthiness of going forward in worthiness, of going forward in beauty and pride and dignity. So there's a very strong element of that. This Mercury retrograde here is definitely in 19 degrees and making it, you know, dead on here with the Chiron here. So, you know, again, watch what you say, because you may not be, you can't take it back. And don't be so quick to just, you know, spring to action or say something. Especially, you know, the downer side of, well, Mercury's in Virgo, which is its ruler. But also, Virgos can be, you know, they're beautiful people, and I love my Virgos, but they can be very critical. There's a positive and negative to every placement, every sign, every planet. And the downside of Virgo is overly critical, okay? So be careful what you say, because you could do damage that you can't really undo. Or, you know, it could be made into something more, it could be very wounding maybe without you even realizing. You know, another thing about the Virgo energy is they're tough as nails, the guides are coming through with. So, you know, maybe you could be like, well, I wouldn't be upset if somebody said that to me. I'm always open for some, you know, constructive criticism, or, you know, it's not about how you are. You know, other people maybe are more sensitive, especially around this time with this Piscean moon here. People could be very sensitive. There's a lot, it could be very emotional. A lot of emotional. With the Saturn, it could be long, and the retrogrades. Some people may just have this great cry or release. You know, it could be stuff that's been around for a long time that you maybe never allowed yourself to have that release over. Or maybe you had to go in Virgo mode, because we have Lilith, Sun, Mercury, and Pallas all in Virgo over here. So, you know, you might have to, well, I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to cry. I've got work to do, or I've got to pick myself up and get busy, you know. But maybe, you know, because it can be very cleansing to cry, or some kind of a release. If you're like, I'm not a crier, then you're not a crier. I'm definitely a crier. I cry a lot for all kinds of things, happy, sad, and everything. I definitely am, I'm an emotional person. But if you're not an emotional person, or you try to, because a lot of time that Virgo energy too will try to be real, no. That's, stay focused, not allow those emotions in. Those emotions are going to come in tidal waves is what the guides are saying. So it could be tidal waves of emotion coming in, highs and lows, not necessarily only lows, but Chiron, not only the other person, but only your own wounds that perhaps you've suppressed, that perhaps are coming up in an Aryan way, with this Martian or Aryan way, where with anger. A lot of times this anger, what is it? Anger is just hurt turned inside out or something like that, So it could be expressed. There could be things that are mistaken. There could be anger welling up that you don't know what to do with. The Neptune is also major creativity too, so that's a very good outlet. Even if you say, well, I'm not necessarily creative, although I know a lot of creative people do watch my channel, it could just be anger, create journaling, or, you don't have to be, there's that metacognitive drawing where you just sort of scribble and, release all this subconscious stuff, or even adult coloring books like I have, where anything where you can just get out of that mind, because Mercury in Virgo can be intense in the brain, insane in the membrane. That's an old song from back when. But anyways, yeah. So retrograde, I'm getting that like a lot of misunderstandings too could be happening at this time. So make sure you get your facts straight. Take time to really think about what you want to say, especially if it's something that you have a lot of emotional charge to. If you're really triggered and it's a lot of emotional charge, maybe you just take a minute to calm down and then utilize this bit of Virgo energy and say, let me just calm down. Let me just write it out. Let me just think, what do I really want to say? Or how do I, even if not what I really want to say, but how do I really feel about this? And then think of it from all angles too. Like, well, maybe I saw that picture on Instagram, but maybe it's something else or this or that. Let's not jump to conclusions, that kind of energy too. Well, we still have this, and the Chiron's not exactly conjunct the node, but it's closing in there. It's getting kind of close. We got a little ways to go on that. And then Jupiter's closing in on the Uranus too. This Jupiter-Uranus, when I circled it, the guides came through it. There could be such miraculous, lucky, beautiful things that manifest out of nowhere. But this is definitely a time of releasing, because the full moon is always releasing. We want to release that past and be like, okay, universe, so that wasn't for me. Show me what is. What am I supposed to be doing? What is for me? Because the Jupiter-Uranus could really bring forward just some crazy, beautiful, wonderful, magical things could manifest. And with the Uranian energy, even slowed down in that sign of Taurus, which is so slow and deliberate, but the Uranian energy can manifest just miracles upon miracles, sudden changes in your life. You turn the corner and it's a bright new day, these kinds of things. But we do have these nodal things are still squaring with this Pluto real heavy here. This is a heavy duty square here in the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs always do signal the change of seasons. So this is a change of season of man right now. This Pluto just pounding away at that 28, 29 Capricorn in that cardinal sign, squaring up with these nodes. We're being called to change seasons, to change directions. And it could come through, especially with the Aries, Aries and Capricorn. They're two horned animals. We've got the Aries, the ram with the big horns, and then we've got the Capricorn, the goat. And what do? What do horned creatures do? They butt heads. So there can be some headbutting for sure. There can be a lot of resistance on your part. With the Pisces moon, we're being called to surrender. That's the biggest word. If I could assign one word to this Pisces moon, it's surrender. Surrender, but don't give yourself away. Hey, 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 hey. Mommy's all right. Daddy's all right. They just seem a little weird. Well, the moon is the mother. It's funny I said that because the moon is the mother and the Saturn is the father. And so it's a weird time. You know, we're in a weird time. There is this retrograde. There is this, it's been, you know, I don't know. With me, it started back with those, I'm in the, you know, near the Great Lakes region here. And these Canadian fires have been, you know, bringing all this smoke. So it's just been, it just seems like it's been this surreal time, you know. It's just weird, and there's just like this weird energy, like a dream. Like a dream. And life is a dream. Life can be a dream. But we're being called to make changes. And some of this cardinal stuff, you know, it can be just like, bam. You can bang your head. You can take your horns and you can bash that horn into the wall all you want. But some things are just not going to go any further. They're just not. So you're forced to, you can't go forward, so you're forced to go this way or that way. And the Pisces moon here can really maybe shine a light on some of these alternatives. Because there's always, spirit, again, I've said it a million times, you know, that this is subtle energy. And also, just with the Pluto, you know, we've had this long-standing sextile with the Neptune, ruler of Pisces, ruler of the 12th house, in these higher degrees. So there's subtle whispers in the wind, they're saying. The universe is whispering. The universe is trying to guide you. With the Saturn, the universe might, you know, it's like a shy child. You know, a shy child that's maybe a little afraid to walk forward. And then the Saturn comes along as the parent that just pushes them out there, like, go play, go outside and play. And just really gives you that push, which can seem harsh, but is really needed. I say that about my mom all the time with the Leo, you know. I was definitely an introvert. My parents had a bar, you know, all my whole life growing up, and she would just, I would be hiding in the back room, like, I don't want to go out there. And she would just push me out the door, out of the back room and into the bar. Go talk to the customers. And honestly, it was, you know, it was like the gauntlet, you know, up and down the bar saying, but what it did, it broke me out of my shell. And it was a gift. It went, maybe some people would say, oh no, it was cruel, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I definitely didn't like it. But it gave me, I'm able to talk to people. And being able to talk to people is a major gift. And it's helped me in so many areas of my life through doing psychic fairs, through all my years of being a musician and being on stage. And, you know, it broke me out of that shyness. And I feel like I can talk to anybody now. When it was totally against my nature, it was totally, I wanted to hide in the back room or go back home. I didn't want to go out and talk to the people. But she pushed me. I mean, her method may have not been the best. You know, maybe she could have took me by the hand and, you know, but she just pushed me out there, you know. And sometimes, or it's just like, you know, the birds being pushed out of the nest. Sometimes we need a little push. And if you need a little push, who are you going to call on? Not Ghostbusters. You're going to call Saturn. Because I've said this before. Saturn is the pusher man. You know, Saturn will push. Saturn won't take no for an answer. Saturn will push. And Saturn, it can force you into making a change, but it's always making the change that's for your highest good or for the best or helpful in the long run. Even if its tactics may seem a little harsh or may seem a little, you know, rough, harsh. Saturn really wants the best. And, you know, Saturn can see the bigger picture. Neptune can absolutely, the ruler of this whole Piscean, 12th house and all these Pisces stuff. Neptune can absolutely see the bigger picture. Neptune is those spirit guides and angels. But they're not going to come down and get in your face about anything. You know, they're going to send clues. They're going to send messages. They're going to subtly show you little things. I had this awesome thing happen. I guess I could share it. A friend of mine, my old lead singer, died over the last week here. Suddenly, he just died in his sleep. And I came home and I got out of the car, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this thing. I see something like descending down in a straight line, and I thought it was a spider. And I turned to my left, and it was a feather, a tiny little feather. And I opened my hand, and the feather fell right in my hand. It was so magical. And I didn't think of it till later, but one of the big songs that we always sang, or he was known for this song, was Little Wing. And here comes this little feather, and it fell right into my hand. That's Neptunian energy, okay? Right there. That's Neptunian energy. You know, maybe I wouldn't have turned, you know, or maybe I would have just said, oh, there's a feather. But when I held out my hand and it fell in my hand, that was just crazy magical. And the funny thing is that it was falling in that straight line, because normally a feather, it kind of you know, waves back and forth when a feather. You don't usually see a feather falling in a straight line like that. And then, of course, I looked up too, and I don't see a bird anywhere. I'm not under a tree, you know. So it was such a magical, magical message, and such a cool thing. But that's Neptune energy. It's light as a feather. It's subtle. It's, you know, you can miss it. If you're not paying attention, you can miss it. You might not see it. Or you might see it and not think anything of it. You know, of course, people, and I'm sure many people who watch these videos, you know, if you're kind of in tune to that, there's magic happening all around us. It's everywhere, all the time. Neptune is always speaking to us. Our spirit guides and angels are always speaking to us. There are loved ones who are on the other side, because that's another expression of that 12th house. Those are your loved ones and your ancestors and your past lives and stuff. They're always sending us messages. And it's not always so in your face, you know. It's usually these little subtle things. And I knew it was from him, but I didn't even get, oh, Little Wing, duh, you know. But I didn't get that till like a few days later. It was like, oh, duh, Little Wing. I put a tribute on, you know, my Facebook page, my personal one, with just my musician friends. And the last thing I said was Fly On Little Wing, because that was a song that he always did. And even after the feather falls in my hand and everything, I still didn't even get the connection to Little Wing. And here's me, Miss Super Intuitive, always looking for the signs, always, you know, always in that realm. And I didn't even get it. So it's not real straightforward. And no matter what it is, whether it's just not, okay? It's going to be real subtle. It's going to be, and don't poo-poo it. You know, when you do get these messages, and you do get these downloads, and you do get these messages from your loved ones or what have you, you know, acknowledge it. Because when you start acknowledging it, then the universe is like, okay, well, now we're interacting. And they're going to send you more and more and more and more. We're not here alone. You don't walk alone. You're not, even no matter what. We're surrounded by guides, angels, multidimensional beings. So this is this full moon in Pisces. This is all the realm of this Piscean energy, okay? And Saturn wants it to show up in the material world, wants us to see it, wants us to have this 3D reality connection with this more magical, expansive realm of this magical Piscean energy. Yeah, it's really a magical time. So yeah, that is the reading. Hey everybody, by the way, I do offer personal readings. The featured reading at this time, I am open for the eclipse reading, which is going to be another big astrological event that's coming up. So if you like the more of the psychic astrology readings of this type, you may want to, you know, look into that, the eclipse reading, which is available on my site. I have other readings too, so you can check that out if you're interested. Again, don't forget that I am vickieverlie.com. The imposters are just rampant out there in YouTube land and video land. And this is the Rock and Roll Prophetess channel. If you've enjoyed this content, I would love it if you would hit subscribe. If you like my mystical and spiritual art that I do, I post that on my Instagram page. So I would love it if you'd follow me on there if you enjoy that kind of thing. So this is it, the magical, mystical full moon in Pisces. Watch for those little signs and symbols. Don't discount them. Don't poo-poo them. Don't discount them. Magic is all around us. It's floating in the air. It's maybe a feather. It could be anything. It could just be anything. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. Have the best full moon, blue moon ever in Pisces. Have a magical time, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.